Ivory Coast, a major political shakeup is unfolding after a court ruled that opposition leader Tigane Tiam is ineligible to contest the October presidential election. The decision hinges on his previous French nationality, which the court says invalidated his registration, despite Tiam formally renouncing it in February to meet the legal requirements. Why is this significant? Tiam was seen as the strongest challenger to President Alassane Ouattara, and his disqualification could drastically reshape the electoral landscape. His removal from the race has sparked fears of political interference in the judiciary and undermines public confidence in the democratic process. Tiam has condemned the court's decision as democratic vandalism and accused the ruling party of manipulating the judiciary to suppress opposition. So what's next? Tiam's legal team says they will explore all available avenues to challenge the ruling, though options remain limited. Meanwhile, opposition parties are rallying around the case, with some warning of potential boycotts or protests if the decision stands.
He has led some of the biggest Western financial institutions, Credit Suisse Bank and the UK pensions giant Prudential. But now, Tigane Tiam wants to take the helm of a vital, resource-rich West African country, the Ivory Coast. Last week, Mr. Tiam's coalition of political parties tried to make their way into a court case that he and they said was trying to block his bid for the presidency.
Would you be surprised if you were stopped in your tracks and your candidacy would be thrown out?
No, that's the general expectation, that my candidacy will be thrown out. It's the appearance of legality, but it has no grounds. Right? This is one of 390 people in my party who, prompted by the authorities, has created this lawsuit and taking us to court, where we know the outcome. It's already predetermined, but it's all going to look like a due process. Legality and justice are not always the same. During slavery was perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. Was it just? No.
You talked about key stakeholders. What about Western powers?
What I really think is that there's a background of racism there, and a lot of people feel that democracy is just too good for Africans, and they don't really need it, they don't really deserve it. And the kind of regimes we have, well, you know, TIA, this is Africa, okay? So there's a tolerance, and this is something I really resent. I always fight so that Africans are judged exactly by held to the same criteria than the rest of the world.
Currently in Paris, he says he and his supporters have faced intimidation back home, with security forces surrounding his house. He described to me how a recent party rally was harassed.
They went and they occupied the party headquarters. I went there personally. I stood between the police forces and our militants, and I told them, look, in life, you can't control events, but you can always control how you react to them. We're going to show them that we're a party of peace. There won't be a stone thrown. There won't be anything. You're going to become no history of good elections in Côte d'Ivoire. None whatsoever. The last election without violence was in 1990. That's 35 years ago. We need to, I say, give up the Kalashnikov and the machete and the wooden stick and talk to each other.
If this can happen in Ivory Coast, what does it say about the rest of the continent?
It's very worrying. And the reason I'm fighting with such energy, the reason I'm sitting across from you today, is that I think we can shape a different future for Africa. Some countries have been able to have a peaceful transition, change of president. Senegal has done it now several times. Ghana has just done it. But Côte d'Ivoire is struggling. And Côte d'Ivoire is vital for stability. This is why I'm advocating that reason triumphs, and that this time we don't resort to violence.
So this is the kind of banana republic the Bola Tinubu administration, or Bola Tinubu, his administration and the APC wants to turn Nigeria into. I played that tape earlier. I just wanted you to see and have an idea what it feels like to have a banana republic. And where we've headed into is a banana republic, where we are controlled by the whims and the decisions of our politicians. This is the kind of madhouse Bola Tinubu and the APC wants to turn Nigeria into. A lawless country run and managed by the whims and the caprices of corrupt politicians, where judicial judgments are actually predetermined by politicians because of their political interferences, and opposition voices are silenced. And where opposition speak, they use law enforcement and they weaponize law enforcement against the people. Let's break this thing down into smaller bits for everyone to understand. But make sure you watch this to the end, okay? And if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. And recommend this channel to others. When was the last election we had that was free and fair? Political analysts will say the 1993 election was the best we've ever had. More or less close to near perfect, but rigged eventually by Babangida, or more or less annulled as it was said to be. But look at the things that follows this current political party that is similar to what is happening in Ivory Coast at the moment. Opposition voices cut down. Electoral manipulation using the INEC, checked, Nigeria. Judicial manipulation, checked, Nigeria. Law enforcement, checked, Nigeria. Corruption, checked, Nigeria. That's exactly what has bedeviled Nigeria following this APC party. Nigeria is now being run by the whims, the decisions of corrupt politicians. Nigeria is being led by corrupt politicians. And what is literally happening is that eventually, if we don't speak up, Nigeria will come to that point where it's become a banana republic managed by some very criminalized people, where opposing voices, dissenting voices are clamped down using the police. That's what the Betokun is actually doing right now anyway. It's what the police IG is doing right now, where people speak up, they lock them up. So what will tell you what you're going to be looking to see tomorrow is if you look at Lagos State, for example, it's more or less a one-party state. That's what the federal level will be looking at us like at some point. Our judiciary will have no voice. They will run based on what the politicians tell them. Our police would not be able to do their job effectively because they would have been bribed and they would have been controlled. Our politicians always want to undermine public confidence so that you and I don't vote. Because they always say the election is already rigged anyway. We know that's the purpose of it. So that when we don't show up, they can rig the election easily and they can write the numbers. So when we come up and when we speak up and when we join in the voting processes, it's harder for them. That's why they will use thugs and they continue to use thugs. This is why you must speak up. Remember, a silent voice is a silent destiny. And for so long, we kept quiet. See where we are right now. So we have no other choice but to start speaking up and to start bringing this awareness to others. This they do to make sure they remain in power. And we cannot allow that anymore. What the APC has now finally done is that they've taken over the court and they've now dissipated the rule of law. So the rule of law only matters to the APC, to Bola Tinubu and his, people, only when they want to use that against you. It doesn't matter to them. If you look at the law, the state of emergency in Rivers State, it didn't matter to them. The constitution did not allow for it. But what did they do? The legislature taking. So again, one of those things we need to click as check to let you understand what this political party will eventually do to Nigeria if we don't stop it in its track. Is they will seize the legislature as they've done. They will seize the judiciary as they've done. They will seize the law enforcement as they've done. They will seize the military as they've done. And they will weaponize all of them against the Nigerian people for them to remain in power. The current president of Ivory Coast has been there since 2010. It was not allowed, it was not supposed to be running, or it shouldn't have actually run for a third term. But what did they do? The constitution. And now he wants to run for the fourth term. And every other opposition that is rising up against the current administration, they clamp down on them. This is exactly the point we're making. We cannot allow that happen in Nigeria. This is how the rest of the world is looking at us and thinking, what kind of people are this? Listen, when they see our president, they see a guy with criminal records. When they see our vice president, they see something similar. When they see the Senate president, it comes with a lot of baggages, plus corruption, sexual abuses, to name a few. When they see the Speaker of the National Assembly, he has his own baggage. So when they see the people who are governing us, and when they see our judicial system, corruption, rife with corruption, they wonder, what sort of laws are these people following? So when you are thinking that you're campaigning for a politician, I wonder, what is it that you're campaigning? Is it their policies? When a politician uses you to rig election, causes electoral destruction with your presence, and they pay you, let's say they pay you 50,000. Split that 50,000 into 4 years. You're actually valued at around 12,000 naira a year. That's what they've given you. That's your value for a year. Maybe 12,400 naira for a year. That's what your value is for 4 years. So you have no reason to go back to them, and they will get their money back because it was never for free. So if somebody gives you 20,000 naira to go and vote for him, that is your word for 4 years. You're worth 5,000 naira a year. Now, I'm breaking that down so that makes more sense to you, to see how they are valuing you, to see what you're worth to them. That's why they use people from us to go and rig election. They want you to continue to depend on them. So that because when you depend on them, they don't have to give you good schools, good roads, good hospitals, good basic amenities, no pipe-borne water coming to your houses. Your children cannot go to school because they need you to depend on them. And you should never depend on a man. You should always depend on God, not on a man. But you should demand for the basic things that you are supposed to have as a person belonging to a country. Not let individuals steal from you and tell you to depend on them. That's why our politicians are always so happy when we come around their door and their gates to beg for peanuts. And then they can control us from there on. I know they don't like those kind of things I'm saying. I know politicians don't like that. I see that in the comment section all the time. And that's the more reason why I'm doing this, because I understand they've paid other people to speak up, to counteract what we say, because they want us to be silent. They don't want us to speak. But that's the more reason why we're speaking up, so that they know that we're not going to keep quiet. I'm telling you so you don't keep quiet. I want you to be part of it. This is beyond the movement. This is about an awareness, a creation of awareness, so that people in the villages can understand that they deserve better. See, our politicians have abandoned our villages, our communities, our rural areas. Why? Because they know that nobody will speak for them. And that's why they're killing them. They're killing them to seize their land, take their resources, and give it to themselves. I want you to speak up so that your children don't end up like you. Speak up so that your children can have a better life than you had. Don't let our politicians pass us to their children to do to us for their children to do to us what they've done to us. We should not let this pillaging continue. Let us don't allow them. So I'm bringing this awareness to you because this is a banana republic this APC government is turning Nigeria into. This is a banana republic this Tinubu administration is turning Nigeria into. And banana republic like he's turned Lagos into, where they decide what goes on in Lagos. They control Lagos as a one-party state. That's why they can fight within Lagos and they tell you it's a family matter. Come on. We should never depend on one person. So I want you to share this content with other people as well, so they are aware. We must speak up. We have no other choice. Nigeria will end up like Ivory Coast. Before you know it, with this current National Assembly we have, they will amend the constitution to suit Bola Tinubu. Before you know it. Before you know it, they will change the constitution and they will sing on that mandate they will stand. No matter how cripply Bola Tinubu looks, no matter how fragile and frail it feels, they will amend the constitution to suit him. This current National Assembly that we have, headed by Akpabio, It's the most disgraceful we've ever had. So I'm encouraging you today. If you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe and be part of it. And also, if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please do so and recommend this channel to others. We will continue to create this awareness that we want to. We want a better Nigeria for all of us, not a banana republic. We must get rid of this cancerous party called APC before it destroys Nigeria to its core. As always, God bless you, and I will catch you up in the next video. Bye-bye for now.